It's about 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, April 20th, 2025, Easter Sunday. And we got a little sprinkling of rain sometime between last night and this morning. We're supposed to get a bunch of rain today. There's supposed to be a big storm right about now. But I am not seeing it. So it is cooler. Yesterday I said it was like 65 degrees. I was lying. It was actually 75. My body's already adjusting to the temperature. So it's 70 degrees right now, and I'm a little bit cold. So it's a bit chilly for me. I'm glad I got my coat, my long sleeve shirt on, and my long pants. You know, and when the wind blows, it's a little bit chilly. So my body's already adapting to the warmth. This pasture, this part of the pasture, we're in the fourth, fifth, sixth. Yeah, we're in the fourth of 7 cells. And this part of the pasture, there's good long grass in places. Most of the grass is about, I'd say 8 inches to a foot tall, 8 to 12 inches tall. Lots of this red clover. I saw a little bit of crimson clover. Let me go show you the crimson clover. It kind of sticks out because the flowers are a deep red, you know. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there and there is some crimson clover. I like the crimson clover. It has nice big clover leaves. I think this is the Japanese clover or something like that. It's like tiny yellow and white flowers. And I don't think I saw any white clover. White clover is typically what you have in your lawn. Probably like 80 years ago when they were selling lawn seed for people to put in their suburban lawns. They would mix some white clover in there, knowing that the white clover would help the grass grow strong and tall without fertilizer. This is before fertilizer was super cheap and readily available to everybody. Anyway, yeah, so they knew that the clover plus grass will give you the best lawn you could ask for. So, for those of you who are new here, who are just looking at sheep, wondering what's going on, why a guy with a northern accent is here in the south, in northeast Texas, grazing cattle and sheep. So the big idea is that it wasn't so long ago that this whole area, stretching from this corner of the United States all the way up to the border with Canada, and then as far west as the Rockies, this whole area was covered in grasses taller than a man. And I'm told that here in the southeast, there was sugar cane, or not sugar cane, but some kind of cane or bamboo that grew as well. And we had grass as far as the eye could see, deep, thick, nutritious, healthy grass. And the cattlemen of a long time ago, you know, back when raising cattle as an American at a large scale was kind of a new thing. The early cowboys, I believe, I don't really have much evidence for this, but I believe they were cribbing notes from the Spanish settlers. What do they call them? The vaceros, right? And they were cribbing notes from the vaceros and raising cattle by moving them like the bison. So the cattlemen were upset when people started putting fences up. They thought that was just unethical and immoral, and they're willing to fight over that. My ancestors in Wyoming, we were raising sheep, and the cattlemen were raising a stink because the sheep farmers, we didn't like to move around very much. We liked to just stick to one spot. And so people were shot over the idea of whether we should have fences at all, you know. And the cattlemen didn't want fences. They wanted to move the cattle everywhere and just graze the grass as it grew. They knew something. They knew something about grass. They knew something about cattle. They knew something about the ecology of the Great Plains. And what they were trying to do was, obviously they were just in it for the money. They wanted, you know, good cattle meat. But what they were trying to do was have the cattle eat the best grass so they can get the strongest and healthiest possible. And we found since then that grazing grass actually improves grass. And now if you go to the conservation efforts in the Great Plains, they'll actually pay me to kill all my grass and plant native warm season grasses and run cattle on it, because they know that the cattle will help those grasses really establish themselves and become strong and tall. So, but what's happening underneath is there's a whole ecosystem of bacteria and fungus and insects underneath our feet, and those plants are putting down roots. You can pretty much guess that if the grass is a foot tall, there's a foot deep roots down there. They typically mirror themselves above and below the ground. But when you harvest that grass, the grass has to suck in some of the nutrients from its roots to try to regrow, and it leaves behind some vegetable matter in the soil that is part of the cycle that builds soil, turns clay into soil. And so what we're really about here is we're trying to build soil, living soil. We're avoiding chemical fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides. Somebody recommended diatomaceous earth, and I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to use it, because diatomaceous earth is harmful towards insects, not just parasites, but also the insects. And there's a lot of insects that like to eat animal poop, and so I won't put anything in the animal that would come out of its poop that would injure insects and bacteria and fungus and stuff like that, because I need those guys to do their job. So the natural cycle, the animal comes, it chews the grass, it ruminates on it. That means it has like 4 stomachs, so it regurgitates, chews the cud, and swallows again. And inside of its belly are bunches and bunches of bacteria and stuff just munching on that grass, turning it into digestible material for the sheep and the cows. And eventually it comes out the rear end, or it comes out as urine. And we all know that manure makes a great fertilizer. A big pile of manure doesn't do much for anything. So there's a whole army of insects that come and devour that manure patty and move it downstairs. Dung beetles are one of these miracle insects that does that job. Here's an old patty from, probably several weeks ago, if not a couple months ago. But, the dung beetles, they move it downstairs. They like to bury it for their young. And that's moving vegetable matter. That's opening up the soil. The worms are a tremendous factor. Worms are great. We love worms. Every gardener loves worms. But how many gardeners are putting poisons in their soil that the worms can't handle? Worms can't eat or survive, fertilizer. That stuff is not good for animals. And so we have worms. We have all kinds of stuff going on there. And so my goal is to grow all those things together, with the idea being that it'll develop healthier plants and healthier animals. And when we eat those animals, we'll even be healthier too. So that's really the guiding philosophy here. So we're not trying to fight nature. Boy, this little lady took off her coat and now she's dragging it like a piece of toilet paper. We're not fighting nature here. Our goal isn't to force nature to do things that she doesn't want to do. We're using nature. We're using her natural processes. We're studying nature. We're watching the natural cycles and trying to adapt to them. For instance, here in Northeast Texas, we don't grow the Kentucky 31. What kind of grass is it called? Anyway, it's a type of grass that grows throughout the winter and can actually sustain the animals through winter. Well, we don't have that. So our animals, they have to survive on stockpile. Well, I'm not that good of a farmer yet. So I buy hay from a local guy and I roll out hay for the animals. I try to keep them confined, minimize the damage they do in the winter, especially when it's muddy outside. I've got like 10 bales of hay left. So I'm pretty proud of myself for not using up all the hay too early. I would roll out hay, but the animals wouldn't eat it. So they would just look at it, smell it, probably lick at it, but then they'd eat the grass. And so that's the strategy. Another thing I have to do is animals need protein. And I'm not really sure how the bison and the cattle and stuff were getting protein in the winter. I'm not even sure that they were getting protein in the winter. I'm probably, the bison and the animals, they starve to death in the winter and a lot of them die. They do a lot of natural culling. I'm not really sure exactly what was going on. But so I have to give them protein supplement right now. That protein supplement is cottonseed meal, and they mix in some salt, and they mix in some vitamins in there too that are present in grass when it's growing, but not when it's dead. So the hay plus the protein supplement seems to do pretty well for the cow. Seems to do pretty right. I'm not too convinced that it's the exact formula the sheep need. There might be something else that I'll find that's better for the sheep. I had some suggestions from a commentator about seaweed, and there's some like bentonite or something like that is what they were recommending. That's a natural clay that I don't think is harmful to the animals or the insects, but might be good for helping the animals in their nutrition. Anyway, I'm still new at this. I've only been doing this for 4 years. I think come June it'll be my 5th year. So I can't call myself an expert. I'm documenting what I'm doing. You guys can look. You guys can ask questions. I'll try to give you answers on what's going on. I just have some ideas on what works and what doesn't. I don't have actual knowledge. I don't know that actual knowledge is even possible in agriculture. Regardless, we can make good guesses. You know. By the way, the cattle manure is kind of runny now, so a little runnier than I'd like. Yeah, just eat it. Yeah. Oh, it's disgusting. Oh my goodness. Anyway, a little runnier than it should be, but it's within the bounds of acceptability. This little girl, she's still limping, so I checked her hoof out, and what happened was on one of her hooves there, one of her toes, the bottom part's it's regrowing. So I didn't see any signs of infection or anything like that. I didn't smell hoof rot or anything like that. So I think there was a delamination that happened a while back. And yeah, you know, you could tell they have sore feet when their head bobs like that when they walk. If their head is bobbing when they walk, they have sore feet because they're favoring one side or the other, you know. So yeah, things are pretty good here. I don't have much else to report. I'm waiting for my calves to drop. They're supposed to drop a couple days ago. So maybe my calculator was wrong. Maybe I forgot how calves work. And maybe the new bull that I bought last year wasn't quite up to the task of breeding these 20 cows. So we'll see what the truth is pretty soon. I did turn out my other bull, I think 2 months after I put the bull on, just in case the first bull wouldn't do his job. So I will get some form of calves. If it's not the South Pole, then I'll say, ah shucks, try again later, you know. She's looking pretty good. Her hip bones are starting to disappear, and her tail below at the base of her tail, right above her butthole, that looks like it's filling in nicely. So she's doing pretty dang good. All right, that's enough talking. Hope you guys have a great day. Hope you had a great Easter, because you'll be seeing this in the future, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. And hope you guys have a great week. All right, bye.